This true story was sourced from Reddit.
These events happened to me between the ages 6 and 9. Everything began when I was visiting my cousin. That time I was 6 years old. My cousin was a year older than me, and back then she was very adventurous, so we went into the forest near my school. Everything in the forest went normal, and it was around 1 p.m., so we weren't expecting anything weird to happen. Until we climbed down a small hill, and I slipped to the ground. My cousin came down to help me, but as soon as she got down, a big shadow jumped over us. We both saw and heard it, and swore to each other we didn't lie about it. We knew it couldn't have been an animal because we were in a small forest surrounded by a city. We ran out of the forest because we were little and got scared easily. 1 year later, I was again with my cousin, and we had come to the conclusion that what we saw was an animal. Again, we decided to go on a little adventure, but this time to a different forest around 2 kilometers away from the last forest. We were looking after an old bunker from the Second World War, which my friends had told me about. But since we were braver than before, we went there at 6 p.m. and it was already getting dark. We looked for the bunker for hours, but decided to split up after looking around for a long time. I had gotten used to this forest already, even though I never saw the bunker. But this time, the forest felt different. It felt like I was in a forest far away from the city, and I couldn't recognize anything, even though the sun hadn't fully gone down. I shouted my cousin's name because it was already coming so late we had to go back home, but to no response. I started panicking a little and ran into a random direction until I recognized a rope swing in one of the trees and knew I was close to the forest's edge. I walked along the path until I heard my cousin shouting my name, and I stopped and shouted back. Then she came over a little hill and ran to me. She said she was shouting my name and was irritated that I hadn't responded. I told her I was shouting too, but neither of us heard each other back there. We went back home and didn't think more about what happened. Almost 2 years later, we were back in the forest looking for the bunker. We remember when talking about some old memories. This time, we didn't split up and actually found the bunker. We looked inside with our flashlight and were disgusted of what we saw. Inside the old bunker, there was old burned candles, a pentagram, and some liquids. We didn't want to stay near the bunker and left quickly because we thought someone might come there. Everything was normal until we got to the old rope swing. It was swinging back and forth when we came near it. No one else was there with us, so we took up our pace, knowing we were near home. When we almost near home, we heard footsteps behind us. We looked behind, but there was nothing. We still heard the footsteps were coming towards us until I felt a bump on my shoulder, and the footsteps passed us. I looked at my cousin and asked her if she heard the footsteps, and she nodded. I was the most scared I had ever been, and we ran straight to the home and told her mom. But reasonably, she didn't believe us when we told about the footsteps. To this day, I haven't told anyone about these experiences and never thought to connect them together. But now that I'm older, I realized that how similar they were to each other. The strange occurrences in the forest that day still haunt me, and I can't help but wonder what was really going on. Were we being followed by something supernatural, or was it just our imaginations running wild? I may never know the truth, but I do know that I will never forget that day in the forest. It was a reminder that there are mysteries in this world that we may never fully understand, and sometimes it's better to leave them unsolved. As for the bunker, we never went back to explore it further, and I'm not sure if I ever want to. Some things are better left undisturbed.